This decision is happening right now. $8 million are sitting on the table. And the future of the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback room is being decided as we speak. If you ride for the silver and black no matter what, smash that like button, share this with Raider Nation, and subscribe right now because this offseason just turned serious. ESPN has revealed that the Raiders are actively weighing whether to keep Geno Smith as a veteran backup and mentor, or release him and free up $8 million in cap space. And after a 3-win season, can this franchise really afford another half measure? This isn't just about a roster spot. This is about direction. It's about finally committing to a real rebuild instead of patching holes year after year. The 2025 season was painful. 3 wins. One of the worst defensive outputs in the league. A fan base that showed up every week but kept walking out of the stadium frustrated. Change was inevitable. Pete Carroll's departure signaled that the organization understood that staying the course was no longer an option. Then came the hiring of Clint Kubiak, a coach known for structure, discipline, and building offenses the right way. But here's the truth every fan knows: none of that matters until the quarterback situation is solved. Holding the first overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft gives the Raiders power. Real power. And one name continues to gain serious momentum: Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza isn't the loud, flashy prospect who dominates highlight reels. What he brings is something this franchise has desperately needed: calm control. He reads defenses well, stays composed under pressure, and commands the locker room with natural leadership. Coaches trust his decision-making. Teammates respect his presence. His style fits perfectly into what Kubiak wants to build: efficient, disciplined, balanced football. And let's be honest, when was the last time the Raiders had a quarterback that truly felt like a long-term answer? If Mendoza is the pick, it marks a complete reset. A shift toward stability. A commitment to building around a young signal caller who can grow with the system instead of constantly adapting to short-term fixes. Some analysts believe he could be the best quarterback this team has had since Derek Carr departed. That's not just optimism, that's a reflection of how badly this team needs clarity at the position. But clarity for Mendoza creates uncertainty for Geno Smith. Smith was brought in as a bridge. A steady veteran meant to hold things together while the front office searched for the future. On paper, it made sense. In reality, the 2025 season didn't unfold the way anyone hoped. His production dipped. The offense stalled. And statistically, he ranked near the bottom among starting quarterbacks. Fans noticed. The frustration grew. The gap between Smith and Raider Nation widened week after week. Now the organization stands at a crossroads. Do you keep Smith as an experienced backup who can guide Mendoza through his rookie year? Or do you release him, save $8 million, and fully commit to the youth movement? Here's the question of the day: if Fernando Mendoza becomes the number 1 overall pick, should the Raiders release Geno Smith and invest that $8 million elsewhere, or keep him as insurance? Drop your answer in the comments. No fence-sitting. That $8 million matters. The Raiders already sit near the top of the league in available cap space. Adding even more flexibility could accelerate this rebuild dramatically. It could strengthen the offensive line. It could reinforce the defense. It could bring in weapons that actually support a rookie quarterback instead of leaving him exposed. Yes, experience has value. A veteran presence in the quarterback room can stabilize a young player's development. But if the locker room dynamic is strained and the production doesn't justify the cost, the financial logic becomes hard to ignore. And here's something Raider Nation cannot overlook: drafting a quarterback solves nothing if the offense remains one-dimensional. The Raiders finished last in the NFL in total rushing yards and yards per attempt. Last. No clock control. No balance. No ability to take pressure off the quarterback. Every drive felt forced. Every third down felt predictable. That's why the hiring of Clint Kubiak was so significant. In Seattle, he built zone-based rushing attacks that emphasized timing, patience, and explosive cutback lanes. He understands how to create rhythm in the ground game. But systems need personnel. Enter Tyler Allgeier of the Atlanta Falcons. Allgeier has quietly been one of the more efficient backs in the league. Even after Bijan Robinson arrived and reduced his workload, Allgeier continued producing. Over the course of his career, he has averaged more than 700 total yards per season and over 5 touchdowns annually. That's steady production, even in a shared backfield. More importantly, he thrives in zone schemes. Over 3/4 of his rushing attempts have come within zone concepts, where he averages nearly 5 yards per carry. That's exactly the type of runner Kubiak wants in Las Vegas. Now imagine pairing Allgeier with Ashton Jeanty. Jeanty brings explosiveness and acceleration. Allgeier brings power and red zone efficiency. 16 of Allgeier's 18 career rushing touchdowns have come from inside the 6-yard line. That's not coincidence, that's reliability. And the financial side. His projected market value sits under $2 million per year. That's a bargain for a team with significant cap space. A 2-year deal worth around $5 million could secure a player who immediately upgrades the running attack without limiting future flexibility. Think about the bigger picture for a moment. A rookie quarterback in Mendoza. A reinforced running game with Jeanty and Allgeier. A head coach implementing a structured offensive identity. And potentially an extra $8 million to strengthen weak spots across the roster. That's not just a rebuild. That's a blueprint. But here's the real question Raider Nation has to wrestle with. Is this front office ready to make bold decisions instead of safe ones? Releasing Geno Smith would signal total commitment to a new era. Keeping him would suggest caution, perhaps even hesitation. There's logic on both sides. Stability matters. But so does momentum. This franchise has drifted for too long. Fans have endured inconsistency, short-term fixes, and near misses. The hunger to compete for a Super Bowl isn't fading, it's intensifying. Everything starts with alignment. The quarterback choice. The allocation of cap space. The investment in the run game. These are not isolated moves. They connect. They define culture. Clint Kubiak now has the opportunity to mold this team in his image. Balanced offense. Smart decision-making. Physical execution. But that vision only works if the organization commits fully. So ask yourself, is Raider Nation ready for a true reset, even if it means saying goodbye to a veteran quarterback? The $8 million decision isn't just financial. It's symbolic. It represents whether the Raiders are finally done living in transition and ready to step into a defined future. Because if Fernando Mendoza truly is the future of this franchise, then the future doesn't wait. It begins with courage. It begins with clarity. And it begins right now.